Can a warplane span half a century, from its humble beginnings as a first-generation model, and eventually transform itself into the backbone of the nation's airspace? When the U.S. military website 1945 called the J-10C the backbone of China's Air Force, and predicted that it could be in service until 2050, this seemingly science fiction proposition is becoming a reality in the skies over East Asia. The legendary journey of the J-10 series of fighters epitomizes the painstaking transformation of China's aviation industry from catching up to taking the lead locally, and the roar of the first batch of J-10 fighters joining the ranks of the Chinese Air Force in 2004 declared the beginning of the era of domestically produced third-generation aircraft. Today, more than 20 years later, when this fighter, once despised by Western military observers, has grown into a pillar of strength, supporting the skies of East Asia, the technological leap and strategic value behind it are worth in-depth investigation. Looking back at the birth of J-10, we can see that China's aviation industry has made an arduous leap from copying and tinkering to complete independent innovation. Although the early J-10 realized the zero breakthrough of domestic third-generation aircraft, it was still rough in actual combat capability. It is equipped with PL-11 semi-active radar missiles, which need to continuously irradiate the target in medium-range combat, and cannot realize the tactical advantage of disengaging after launching. Its avionics system is limited in the degree of integration, and lacks support of new generation of data chain, which is an obvious generation gap with the Western mainstream fighters in the same period. It is this gap that inspired the continuous iterative technological breakthrough, and after the PL-12 active radar-guided missile was finalized in 2005, the J-10 gained the real medium-range combat capability for the first time, and the comprehensive avionics system was replaced in 2006, so that the J-10 finally possessed the modern combat level comparable to that of the F-16C. The key upgrades around 2008 were even more important. The key upgrades around 2008 injected multi-purpose genes into the J-10 for the first time, compatible with laser-guided bombs and air-to-ground missiles, laying the groundwork for the subsequent in-depth improvements. These seemingly minor improvements have actually opened up the veins for the transformation of the warplane from a single air superiority to a multi-mission platform. The emergence of J-10B marks the formal entry of Chinese warplanes into the era of 3.5 generations. The optimized aerodynamic layout of DSI air intake not only reduces structural weight, but also effectively reduces radar reflection area after replacing passive phased array radar and enhancing electronic countermeasure capability. Its comprehensive combat performance can be comparable to that of the European Typhoon. What really makes Western military observers reevaluate China's aviation strength is the emergence of the J-10C. The gallium nitride active, phased array radar equipped with this pinnacle work has a detection range of 240 kilometers. The technology originated from the devolution of the J-20, with the Thunderbolt 1.5E missiles 150 kilometers of ultra-long range and end-to-end active guidance capability. It forms an overwhelming advantage in over-the-horizon combat. The turbofan 10B engine provides 14.5 tons of thrust, which drives the stealth-coated fuselage and DSI air intake design, making it quasi-stealthy on the radar screen. These transformative upgrades allowed the J-10C to achieve an overwhelming 6-0 record in the 2024 India-Pakistan border conflict, and when the Indian fighter markings that disappeared from the radar screen one after another verified its combat prowess, the skepticism of Western observers quickly changed to shock. U.S. media put forward J-10C service until 2050 prediction is not empty. If you count from 2015 service, only 35 years to 2050, while the US-made F-16 has been in service for more than 45 years since 1978, the U.S. Air Force is still planning to keep some of the F-16s in service until the 2040s. The Chinese Air Force's upgrade program for the earlier J-10B, with an active phased array radar and turbofan 10C engine, is significantly lengthening its service life. The J-10's duck layout gives it excellent stalking capability, giving it an advantage over the F-16V in air superiority operations. The shape of modern air combat is shifting from fighting to over-the-horizon strikes, and the reduced reliance on fighter maneuverability instead highlights the value of the J-10C's powerful radar and missile combination. Its unit price of $56 million is only 1/6 of that of the French Rafale, a cost-effective advantage that allows users such as China and Pakistan to build a more complete combat system. but the challenges are equally daunting. The Chinese Air Force is under heavy pressure to replace its existing J-7S, J-8S and early Sukhoi, which will be retired in the next 5-10 years, and the early J-10A, which has a lifespan of nearly 20 years and at least 200 of which will be phased out in the next decade. Although the J-10C has been discontinued, GAIFI's strategy of shifting production lines to foreign trade orders has reserved capacity space for subsequent upgrades. It is worth noting that the Chinese Air Force's life extension modification technology for in-service fighters has reached the world's advanced level, which can extend the airframe's lifespan by more than 40%, through structural reinforcement and composite material replacement. When the first J-10C with midlife extension modification returns to the blue sky in 2023, its airframe life has exceeded 8,000 flight hours, which provides a solid technical backing for service until 2050. The J-10C's position in the Air Force's equipment system is far more than a simple quantitative replacement. Compared with China's exported JF-17 Dragon, the J-10C has a larger radar, better detection capability and superior flight performance. It forms the Three Musketeers of the Air with the J-20 and the J-16, building a reasonable layout with a mix of high school and low school. With the flexible configuration of 11 mounting points, the J-10C can undertake both air superiority and ground attack missions. When carrying out air combat, it can mount Thunderbolt 1.5E and Thunderbolt 1.0E missiles to form a combination of long range and short range, and when attacking on the ground, it can choose YJ-91 anti-radiation missiles, or KD-88 air-to-surface missiles. This multi-purpose capability makes it a key node in system operations. Imagine this scenario: in the East China Sea Air Defense Identification Zone, that is, two J-10Cs share radar images with data chain, locking the simulated enemy aircraft 280 kilometers away. At the same time, another batch of J-10Cs breaks through the defense at ultra-low altitude and suppresses the enemy radar position with anti-radiation missiles. This is exactly the value of the modern multi-mission fighter aircraft. The J-10C is also a living advertisement for China's military industry. Pakistan's decision to purchase 36 J-10Cs from the initial purchase to 90 J-10Cs has verified the value of the J-10C in combat. When the Pakistan Air Force pilots driving J-10C in the exercise down the Qatar Air Force Typhoon fighter, the Middle East countries reassessed the performance of Chinese weapons. Egypt, Uzbekistan and other countries have also shown intent to purchase, marking the beginning of the era of China's high-end warplanes to break the monopoly of the West. What's more noteworthy is that China is testing new possibilities for the J-10 platform. The two-seat J-10SY, which will appear in 2023, is equipped with an advanced electro-optical system that can command a swarm of unmanned aerial vehicles, and the demonstration aircraft equipped with vectoring nozzles has already accomplished the difficult falling leaf float maneuver, showing that the platform still has huge potential to be tapped. These improvements will allow the J-10 series to occupy a place in the future era of unmanned wingmen. Will the J-10C be in service until 2050? History gives an optimistic reference. The F-16 has proved with 45 years of continuous upgrades that the lifespan of advanced platforms depends on the frequency of technology injection, rather than the fatigue of steel. As China's sixth-generation aircraft program advances steadily, the J-10C will eventually be relegated from the leading role to a supporting role. But the Dragon has already rewritten the rules of the South Asian skies, turning Islamabad's ground crews from praying that their F-16s don't malfunction to calculating how many Rafales they can shoot down. When the J-10C skims over the oil and gas platforms in the East China Sea during night training, the data chain information bouncing on its flat display is weaving an area denial network when it appears on the runway of the Zhuhai Airshow. The Thunderbolt 17 missiles mounted under the wings show the world the boundaries of China's strength in over-the-horizon air combat. It may not be the sharpest sword, but it has become the toughest spine of the Chinese Air Force, supporting the ambition of a big country to move towards the deep blue sky, but also in every upgrade of the bolts, in every line of newly written flight control code, renewing the fight for air across the half-century legend.